has the response been uniform? Is everybody kind of booing Sony for giving in to these terrorist demands?
Well, to be honest, from the creative community, everybody is up in arms. I mean, this is hitting us exactly where America stands from a cultural perspective. Freedom of speech and freedom of creative expression is what we're made of. So the question is not only is this a horrific situation in this one instance with the interview, but how is it going to affect movies going forward? How is it going to affect books and magazines and comedy and TV shows? It has wide, far-reaching effects, and everybody is really disturbed because we don't know where it will end.
And, of course, if the North Koreans could do this, it seems like anyone can. Hugh, I mean, does it surprise you that the North Koreans had these capabilities? Is this something that's been long, widely known in the security community?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's amazing. I think over the last 3 or 4 years, what you've seen is almost every developed nation building this capability on the defensive side, but also this cyber offensive capability. And they're training people, they're getting tools, and we see it on full display in this Sony hack.
I mean, if all they have to do, though, is call in a 911 threat to get a film canceled, can't we expect countries around the world getting every film canceled that they want to? Catherine?
Yeah, you know, it's a double-edged sword, right? Whenever you expose your capabilities, you show what you have, you tip your hat, and there's a lot of uncertainty still in this Sony hack. Who was it really that launched the attack? Was it folks that were just sympathetic? Was it folks from the government? I think there's still a lot of pieces of this that we're going to be finding out over the coming weeks and months.
Catherine, let me get you to weigh in on this. I mean, obviously, now if Iran doesn't like a movie, they could just hack the studio and get that canceled as well. I mean, the implications, obviously, it's a very slippery slope.
Yeah, and I think most of the people in Hollywood really wish they would continue on with the release of the film, whether that's in the theaters or whether that's DVD or at this point in time, VOD, or through Netflix or Amazon. And I think that Sony's going to really have to, and all the studios are going to really have to work with their cybersecurity units and find a way to put up this is really not my area of expertise, but really work on how can we get these movies out and not kowtow to the terrorism, which, as you said, can come from any country, any religious faction. These are not logical people. These are people that are cultural fanatics, and they're trying to censor the United States, who's had, as I said, freedom of expression is one of our most important tenets.
All right, so let me ask you about something in your area of expertise. How come we didn't see other studios rally around Sony? Why didn't we see the Hollywood community get behind this company and say, you know what, if you can shut them down, you can shut us down too, we're behind them, let's release this film?
Well, that's a good question. We're definitely in uncharted territory, and I think everybody had a wait-and-see attitude because they didn't want to make the first move because it does set such a dangerous precedent. So I think the other studios are trying to rally around their creatives and say, we want to support your freedom of expression. But at the same time, I don't think anybody wanted to make the first move, and if, God forbid, something happened, they would have looked as part of the liability as well. So, again, we're in uncharted territories, and I think everybody's just watching very closely what's going to happen next.
So, Hugh, I mean, what would you do if a studio came to you and said, look, we've had these threats of violence, but we're going to go ahead and put this film out anyway because that's what we do in this country. How do you prepare for that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, it's challenging, and we've already seen on display the capabilities that this group has. But you can achieve some level of security and recovery. I think you'd go back in, you'd do a full forensics investigation. How did these guys get in? What kinds of tools did they use? And I think it's a wake-up call for a bunch of different industries that haven't historically focused on security to say that those industries are potentially at risk. So I think that there's a lot that we can learn from this attack, and certainly there's a lot of great cybersecurity capabilities out there in the marketplace. It's a call to these companies now to bring those capabilities in-house.
How often do you see those cybersecurity threats cross over from the virtual world into real physical violence? I mean, I read a couple of incidents of this around the Silk Road case, and I was really surprised to see it come from the Internet to, a gunshot.
Yeah, if you think about what's happening online now outside of the Sony case, think about the Internet of Things, right? We're connecting all of these kinetic devices now to a network connection, and they have moving parts. They can do things. So it's becoming a very serious issue of how do we get those things, those devices, these companies secure online. And I think that we're making a lot of progress in this space, but with this attack and several others over the last year, to be quite frank, have shown us is we still have a lot of work to do.